Hello there. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about my own personal experience on how I started investing in real estate, specifically with buy and hold. Because I actually that was my first strategy that I started as far as investments. And then I went into fix and flip and wholesaling. So let me say to you that at the time I started, that was actually 30 years ago, almost to this day, it was in 91. And I was just fresh out of college. I didn't have a job. I had money with my husband at the time, but he did not want to invest it in real estate, so for him it was too risky. So with that said, I had a drive. I had a dream that I could go into real estate and build a portfolio. And my goal at that point, I had two small children, a 2-year-old and a few months old baby. And I wanted to build a residual income of about $5,000 a month. So I didn't have to look for a job or go back into corporate, and I could stay home for my children. So my why was pretty strong, and I knew I had to do what I had to do at that point. There was no holding back. There was no option B. And I had been reading and studying about these other investors that had basically started getting properties through lease options, subject to contract for deeds, any type of owner financing, because either they didn't have the money to invest or the credit or a job, or simply because, they knew they could leverage this whole, the way they structure the deals without using their own money. So my first strategy that I did, again, this is 91, this was pre-internet and classifieds online and so forth. So I would pick up a Sunday paper. And with the Sunday paper, I would circle all the properties that were for rent in the areas that I wanted to invest. And then I would call the owner. I simply called the owner, and I had this question. I say that you're trying to rent your house or apartment at X, whatever address. And I was interested in renting it, but also I wonder if you consider selling your property in the future. And if I did, then I would go into, and I wouldn't use big words like lease option, but basically say, yeah, I would love to rent it from you for a year or so. And then after that, I can buy it from you. And we can meet. I would like to look at the house, and then we'll see how we can structure the deal. As simply as that. Use simple words. Don't make it sound like exactly, you have big terms, right? Because you want to really get the communication and get this connection going with them. And that's how I started. The thing that happened in a good way is that as I started doing these conversations out there, as I started driving around looking at the properties, some of these owners had other properties. Some of these owners, if it was an apartment, especially in a small building, when I saw the ads, it would say apartment in a 2-family building or 4-family. I bought a whole building. I had conversations where, I came across smaller banks that were actually trying to rent or sell their property. So I started buying REOs. So one thing drew to another. But it was all by just simply having a conversation at my kitchen table and asking somebody, I see you want to sell your house, I see you want to rent your house. Would you consider selling it also at some point in the future? And if it was a yes, then from that, we would go ahead into the second conversation, which is why, I'm going to rent it from you. And then in a year or two, I would love to buy it and see what it looks like. I explained that to him. So that's how I started. And within 18 months of doing this, I actually had over 40 doors, meaning I had a mix of single family, 2, 4, 6 and 8, 1 6-unit and 1 8-unit apartment building. So when I talk about doors, in 8 units, we'll have 8 doors, a 4-family would have 4 doors, single family have 1. So, and my income was about $8,000 to $10,000 a month, which in 91, 92, that was pretty good money, right? But that's when I started really doing this. And then after that, I got into wholesaling, fix and flip, and other things, which I'm going to talk in a future video. But I just wanted to give you kind of a brief things of how I started. So there was no bank financing, there was no personal credit involved. There was really, and also being open at working with these owners, because even the banks, sometimes I got properties that were probably not my ideal property in the best part of town, but hey, they were giving to me with 100% financing with no money down. Banks would give me this property, even the money to fix them up without checking my credit. So I wasn't picky. I really want to get out and get started. And honestly, some of those properties that were not probably in the best parts of town, that's where I make the most money, because I bought them really, really cheap. So I just want to give you some ideas, some food for thoughts. So I welcome your comments here in underneath the video. And also I have a link here for you to connect with us and join our group of real estate investing women, where we train other women in all kinds of strategies and we interact with you every day. Thanks for stopping by.